I'm Daphne Russell, the education evolutionist, and I'm here to tell you that we've been sold a story by misguided journalists, by hype crisis people, and by big business that is more concerned about their pocketbook than they are about our children reading. We've been told that literacy requires mastering phonics rules, progressing through reading levels, performing for assessment. And I'm not saying that those things are not true or important, but there's something that's missing. And it's very obviously missing. Because the truth is, every child I've ever encountered from the age of 7 onward already has everything that they need to become a reader. They understand thousands of words, they follow complex stories, they make connections between every single thing they ever do all day long. They interpret meaning honestly and constantly. So why aren't they reading? I don't think it's a skills problem. I think it's a consciousness recognition problem. I know, I'm going to say that again. Consciousness recognition issue. We're taught that children reading requires something special that they don't have that we need to install. So instead of helping them recognize their intelligence that they already possess, we're like, hey, you don't have this, let me give it to you, right? But actually they already process narrative structure. They already understand character motivation. They understand making predictions and connections and drawing conclusions from evidence. That's reading, and they're already doing that, right? So reading really is thinking your own thoughts about words that someone else arranged. You're thinking about words that were arranged by someone else. When you read, your consciousness meets someone else's consciousness through text. Your mind is making the meaning and your intelligence engages. You don't decode your way to understanding. Let me say that again. You do not decode your way to understanding. You recognize meaning because consciousness recognizes consciousness. I had this discovery completely on accident. So when I developed my method called VISCERAL, I made it to help struggling readers. I thought I was teaching new skills. I did. And then I was like, wait, I'm not teaching any new skills. All the time, I was like, wait, I didn't teach them anything. Wait, I didn't teach them anything. I was actually only helping them recognize what they already had, and I did it on accident. So every step ended up, I found out, was that consciousness was creating conditions for consciousness to recognize itself. So when I validated their experience, I was honoring their existing intelligence. When I respected their thinking, I was reflecting their capability back to them. When I trusted their meaning making, I was facilitating recognition. So I would show them a mirror constantly. That's the mirror. The method is a mirror. I made a mirror. And then I wrote about it, and I had no idea what it was. Dr. Rudine Sims said that books are mirrors, windows, and sliding glass doors. But they're mirrors. They're always mirrors first. They're not sliding glass doors and windows first. First, we go inside. And when I go inside and I say that is this or that is that, and the teacher goes, you're wrong, that affects my consciousness. I'm told my thoughts are not important. I'm told my thoughts are not relevant. And that's important. So what recognition looks like, instead of you need to sound out that word, try, what do you think that word might be based on what's happening in the story? Then you keep, I'm not saying the word's not super important. It is super important, but you're not telling them wrong. You're not telling them to sound it out. You're working through the process, conscious to conscious with the text and the consciousness, and you're working that through what makes the most sense consciously. We're not skipping, we're thinking through. So instead of you reading too slowly, try, I know it should take you some time with those words. What are you thinking about? Instead of that's not what the passage says, try, that's an interesting connection. Tell me more about what you're thinking. Each shift like this moves from fixing to recognizing, from teaching skills to honoring intelligence, to facilitating thought in this little circle. So the future I see, I envision literacy where every child's thinking is valued as the foundation of reading, the actual foundation. Books become mirrors, not as a side gig, as the gig that reflect intelligence back into itself. Teachers facilitate recognition instead of delivering okay, I know you want to deliver curriculum. I know, okay. But let's deliver it by consciously mirroring, not filling. Reading becomes natural because we honor the mind that's already there. No more reading levels that sort children into cases and casts of ability. No more phonics programs that ignore existing intelligence. I'm not saying that phonics is wrong, but there has to be a way to facilitate the intelligence and honor that the whole time. And consciousness recognizing consciousness. No more assessments that measure performance instead of recognizing consciousness. Now, I know that's really wishing for the world, but I'm going to throw it out there. So, the recognition process. When consciousness recognition happens, fear transforms into confidence. Doubt becomes curiosity. Confusion shifts to understanding. I can't read becomes I am reading. And then the facilitator holds up and goes, wait, what'd you just read? What? What did that mean to you? What did that make you think? That's so interesting. How clever of you. Wow. This isn't magic. This is what happens when we stop blocking consciousness and start facilitating it as recognition. So whether you're a parent or a teacher or anyone who cares about reading, your job is not to teach reading. Your job is to help consciousness recognize itself through text. Create safety for thinking, honor every connection, trust that intelligence is already there, and reflect capability back to the person. If I reflect back that you can't do, that is really hard to overcome. But if I reflect that you can, and then we just climb our way, right? Hold up a mirror. That's it. That's all we can do is hold up a mirror to their brilliance. The truth is, there's no literacy crisis. There's a consciousness recognition crisis. Want to know why they're picking up the phones? Because they're having more positive relationships with phones. We just have to shift the positive relationships over to books, because when they use books as mirrors, they love it. They like challenging their thoughts. They like questioning what they're thinking. They like finding out that their beliefs about how they couldn't and shouldn't were wrong. They like that. They don't get that from a phone, but they can get that from a book. And it's just a relationship. That's all we have to do is shift this consciousness recognition. Consciousness recognition is like, it's like the superpower. And then when you turn it on, you're like, wait, I want more of that. And that's what we're trying to give people. So the future of literacy is not about better methods. It's about recognizing what's already there. And the consciousness is already there. It's already happening. And we intelligently, purposely hold up mirrors and show kids how brilliant they are. They'll keep coming back for more. So the future of literacy is consciousness recognition. That's it. So recursive consciousness facilitation is learning of the future. And that's all we have. And that's what we're going to have to do all the time. Oh, I wanted to tell you, you want more? I'm going to teach my whole thing right here. I'm not even asking you to subscribe. You can. You can follow, you can subscribe, you can comment, but I'm just going to keep giving it away. It's free. I'm really going to give it away for free. I will give classes that you could buy with Stan Store, but I'm going to go right here on YouTube all the time and give my entire method for free. In fact, right now, you could, if you know someone who's not a reader, you could give them an entire series of becoming a reader. I've already done that too. I'm going to give it all away for all of you because I have found my purpose. And now that I have it, I'm going to give it away. That's it.